The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. If you enjoy our work, please like, comment, subscribe, and follow the links in the description. Thanks for your support, and enjoy.
Greetings and salutations, listener desired. J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
Hey!
This is the Two Nerds Podcast.
Yep, and today we're talking about, well, it kind of depends on how the conversation goes. We're going to start talking about Aquaman, the 2018 movie starring Jason Momoa that we both saw, what was it, like 2 weeks ago now?
It's only been like 6 days, my friend.
Jeez, the end of this year has really stretched out on me. But, depending on how that conversation goes, there's another movie we wanted to talk about, and it kind of depends on how much we end up having to say on Aquaman. So stay tuned, and we'll see where we end up.
It's in flux for us, but they can see the fucking title card, so.
Yeah, but, like, I can't really tell them what's gonna happen.
I can make it real quick.
No, because then we still don't know what we ended up talking. You're... Aquaman.
I'm Aquaman?
Yeah, now. Congratulations, you can talk to fish, you wield the sea.
Dude, spoilers.
So, you know what? Let's do the old spoiler-free review for Aquaman. Aquaman wins. Shit! Oh, man, I'm sorry. I spoiled the movie.
You know what? It's fucking DCEU. He could have lost.
That's actually really...
Superman could have shot through the Earth's crust and impaled him.
Superman's here now. Everything's sad. No. All right. So, what? You know what? Because I've been jabbering about this movie pretty much since we watched it, but I want to hear your actual opinion. What did you think of this movie?
That's difficult, because often I look at a movie, when I talk about it based on, would I recommend you watch this film? And that changes depending on the individual because of the nature of this movie. Even more so than, well, what if they don't like the genre? This is a pretty broad Hollywood genre. So it's, it's not like I have to worry about much of anything. To that person, I would say go ahead and watch it, just so long as you don't take it too seriously. But to answer the spirit of your question, and probably the more direct version of your question, the question that most people would say, God, everything I want to say is so fucking colorful, and in its colorfulness does the movie a disservice because it's also mean. You know what I mean?
I'm going to be plenty nice enough to this movie.
But I want to be fair. I don't want to misrepresent myself, because at the end of the day, it was a fun movie. I enjoyed my time with it. There were several points in the movie where I went, fucking excuse me? But there was most of the film that was just fine. I would say that it asked a lot of me, given my preference for films. It's going to take a lot to change me from being a Marvel film guy or a Marvel Comics guy. I like DC just fine. I'm not a DC guy.
Make yours Marvel.
Yes. And like, while it's a different fucking environment in the movies, I'm still a Marvel guy. He was fine. It was approaching good. There were a lot of things I really liked about this film. Spoiler free, I can't really get into it much more than that.
Okay. All right, that's fair. For me, I have a much simpler outlook on this movie. I don't know that I'm prepared to comment as to its quality. But I love this movie. Whether or not you consider it a good movie or a bad movie, that's not really how I see it. This movie is what I wanted out of an Aquaman movie. It is fun and stupid. stupid in the best way. And I know that doesn't sound like a compliment, but it really, really is a compliment. This is a movie that does not shirk from its source material in a very specific way.
I think that's the spoiler-free portion.
For Aquaman. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What did you like about this movie?
A lot. I thought it was visually very stunning. I thought a lot of the costuming choices were very clever in both paying homage to the source material and making them look not too ridiculous. Very specifically, I liked the fact that they animated Ocean Master's eyebrows when he wore the mask. I thought the fish creatures and the beautiful ocean vistas were incredibly well animated. I liked a lot of it. They made a lot of really great choices visually in this film. I thought the actors were incredible.
Who are you thinking about?
All of the actors. They were all good.
Well, I can't just...
Every actor.
I'm just not just going to read down the list. You can go to IMDb for that.
Yeah, I there may have been a couple that I was like, that was the take you went with, okay. But overall, the actors did a great job. I'm a huge fan of Patrick Wilson. I liked this interpretation of Aquaman. I like Jason Momoa doing this interpretation of Aquaman. And that's another thing that bears mentioning separately, is that I enjoyed this interpretation of Aquaman. He's not the traditional one. He's not the fucking gritty claw hand one. But he's cool. I wasn't super happy with stuff they did during Black Manta's origin, but that's like nitpicky mode. That's we have 5 minutes left of the podcast mode.
That's fair.
But otherwise, I think the characters they did justice to. And I thought a lot of the humor was really on pace. I thought the action scenes looked really good.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I didn't hate this film. I liked this film, and I don't want to... I was a little remiss to talk about it at first because I'm still wounded from something that happened earlier tonight. But, I did. I walked out of this movie having had a good time. Overall.
Yeah. You know what? I'll talk about the stuff that I liked about this movie. Putting aside all the stuff that White said, because, yeah, basically all of that I agree with. All the stuff he liked, I also liked. It was visually stunning. The fight scenes were really well put together for it would have been real easy to fuck up and make the fight scenes look real stupid underwater. And they didn't. They looked really good. They looked believable. They looked impactful. They were fun. Surprise, listener, I really like Jason Momoa in this movie.
The fuck you say?
And I think he's not the traditional Aquaman in that, like, he's not the Aquaman from the Super Friends, but he is actually pretty close to the Aquaman they're doing now in comics.
Yeah. Which I'm sure is, one hand shaking the other kind of thing.
Yeah, because he's not... Like, the Aquaman now in comics, and specifically if you want to get, like, an even more over-the-top version of the Aquaman in this movie, the Aquaman in Batman the Brave and the Bold is the kind of vector they go for. Now, that one's way more over the top than the one in this movie, but it's the same sort of... They're both on the same line. Because this one is being played by Jason Momoa, so there's a lot of specific Jason Momoa stuff that happens. But, he's bombastic and not always the brightest, but, true and for the most part honorable and fun. He's, ultimately he's kind of having a good time with all this. It's, ridiculous. It's a comic book. Aquaman, I think that's a really good way of putting it. Aquaman is like an Aquaman comic.
It does. It's a lot closer to capturing the DC larger-than-life, ridiculous parable of a god sort of idea.
Which is where I think DC does their best work, and I've said that many times. So, of course, the movie that does the best in capturing that vibe of all the DC live-action movies from this cycle that I've seen, I love it. It's dumb, but it's dumb in the best way. And I do want to keep saying that because there are parts of this movie that are stupid. And there are parts of this movie that I don't like. Amusement aside, there was a part late in the movie. Now, this is a spoiler. This is a big spoiler.
We're well into spoiler territory.
But, like, this is a big one. This is a big one because you might honestly not see it coming when you're watching the movie. They get Nicole Kidman to play Aquaman's mom, Queen Atlanta. And they get her in there at the beginning of the movie, and then she gets killed, and the big conflict between Orm and Arthur is kind of built off the fact that Orm hates Arthur for getting his mom killed, and Orm's an asshole anyway. Turns out she's alive, and she's fucking the Wasp. There's really there's no other way to put that. It just becomes Ant-Man 2 for a minute.
Yeah. And like, this was the point where they really they shook my suspension of disbelief too hard, because this is literally the second time DC has done this, and not on purpose. I respect that. I mean, the first time you had longer to correct this course of action, even if you were working on it 5 years ago. Longer, 6, 7. With the Wonder Woman movie and ripping off Captain America. I don't care how close it is to the comics, those movies just came out. You can't do that when you're in direct competition. But this one, shorter span, admittedly, but good lord. Ant-Man came out, had a series of scenes, then this movie came out and had them also.
Like, really exactly the same series of scenes is the weird part. Janet Van Dyne is in the quantum realm, and then they go to the quantum realm, and she's there, and she has a scene where she talks to people about being stuck in the quantum realm, and they help get her out of the quantum realm. And then she ends up helping the villain to realize...
she's wearing armor made of the beings of the quantum realm.
Yeah.
Also important.
And then she helps the villain realize the error of their ways and stops the fight. I wasn't talking about Ant-Man. Replace the words Janet Van Dyne with Queen Atlanta and Quantum Realm with, I don't know, Lightning Circle? Like...
Horrible fish town.
The Hidden Sea. That's what they called it. It's even still 2 words. It's just, there's a section of this movie that is Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's fucking hilarious, but it's not good.
I mean, and it would have been fine if you've never seen that movie.
Yeah, it would have been, but I have, so I don't exist in that timeline. I'm sorry. And I guarantee it was, like, already shot and, like, conceptualized, but to be honest, guys, Ant-Man and the Wasp came out a while ago. Reshoots are a thing, and she's in that movie for 10 minutes.
You could have edited some shit.
You could have just given her one costume change where she wasn't in weird armor and it would have been far enough away that I wouldn't have had to shit on it this hard.
They gave her other costume changes, so why not that one?
He's mad because she changes out of her gross bug armor once she's out of the gross bug armor land. I mean, like you wouldn't immediately do that.
Well, okay, so like, yes, but also, oh yes, we've come across all these seas with no vessels. We literally ride a fucking monster back. And then in that monster, we stopped and grabbed the suitcase in the monster with your beautiful fancy gown in it to dress you for this dramatic scene.
Yeah, where'd she get the dress is a valid question.
Like,
That's
if
fair.
It weren't, like, I mean,
hey,
like, I'm not that guy.
Maybe it's the dress they sacrificed her to the Sahagin in.
Maybe. I don't know.
There are Sahagin in this movie also, just so we're clear.
Well, that's the trench. That's Aquaman stuff.
I know, but they're cool.
Oh yeah, they're fucking awesome. More of that stuff I was talking about that was visually impressive and interesting and...
Yeah, like, I'm nitpicking a bit about Aquaman here because it bears mentioning the movie's not perfect. I love it, but there's a reason I'm not prepared to comment as to its quality. But so much of this movie is just a fucking delight to watch. Jason Momoa is really, really fun. Let me grab the actress's name. Amber Heard is really good as Mera. Like, I'm not someone who gives much of a shit about Mera. I'm going to be honest. I like that character in this movie, and she, it plays well, and she's, not second fiddle to Arthur for most of the movie, which I like. She's got her own shit going on. She's got her own motivations. It's good. Willem Dafoe giving perhaps his most understated performance of the decade.
Last couple decades, he was very reserved in this. I liked him.
He was. There wasn't any scenery left, so he couldn't chew any. There wasn't any left because Patrick Wilson's King Orm ate it all.
All gone.
And I don't, again, that's a compliment.
You know, let me take a step back actually as well, because I forgot something else. What this movie really made me give a shit about was the societal hierarchy of the ocean.
Yeah, they really did a lot. They did a fair amount of world building here.
Yeah, I'm like really curious about like how the fish people and the crab people feel about things, and like how the different regions of Aqualand are.
Yeah, how they're different societally, because they sell that they're different societally. Mm-hmm. How what the class system is like, because they mention that only highborn Atlanteans can breathe air, which is neat.
Yeah, like all that shit is actually the most interesting part of the movie for me.
Dolph Lundgren is great as King Nearest because he's not trying. He's just Dolph Lundgren.
They put some red in his hair.
He's just Dolph Lundgren.
Somebody tried a little. I guess I'm down to just complaints, yeah. Aquaman's dad was amazing. I've got that in my system.
That's Tamura Morrison.
Yes, he was good. And he got to make out with Nicole Kidman. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
The editing in this film.
Go ahead. Get it out of your system. Let's go.
Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's fine editing.
And?
Sometimes they are driving a boat and the fucking voiceover goes, "We're on our way to my secret hideaway." There it is. And I've arrived. I am maybe being a little uncharitable. Not as much as you would think. And, like, the expository dialogue in this film, like, I guess they have to assume that children are coming to see it who don't understand things. Fair. Yes. But, man, I've seen a lot of Marvel movies that children were expected to come and see that did not go.
It's true. He rules the sea. Wields. I always try and make that line better. I love that line. Just so we're clear, that line is fucking amazing.
Because like after Ant-Man 2 happened, and after the thing they left in the film of fucking Jason Momoa hugging his mom and her fucking spiked shoulder pads gouging into his face, and he's like, "This is fine." That was the second blow. And then I'm fucking cooling down. I'm trying, and I don't remember.
And then there's an awesome fucking fight scene with a Kraken.
And then I'm cooled down. Except then, they make out in front of the brilliant fireworks of thousands of people dying.
Happy festival fireworks, yeah.
And it's like a slow motion 360 fucking Michael Bay pan, and it's supposed to be this big romantic moment.
They swoop low with the telephoto, okay?
Like, your people are being murdered left, right, and center, not to mention fish you mind-controlled into this, you monster! And you guys are like, yeah, this is a great time to be smooching. And then... Fucking Mara's like, "Dad, don't be a dick to Aquaman. He's got the trident.
He's got the trident of I win now.
Of I win now." First of all, bad move trying to fight him because whoo.
He's got the trident of I win now. I mean,
secondly, he's in the right here. I've been hanging out with him on my voyage, and like fucking Dolph Lundgren looks at her like, huh? But then two motherfuckers roll up on they seahorses.
Two random dudes on seahorses roll up behind her and corroborate her story with, "I swear to you." Like, I cannot convey how terrible the line read is. I can't get it across to you properly. It is like they were bussed in from the Super Friends. He commands the animals. It's true. He wields the sea. I can't remember the first line because the second line is so fucking amazing.
While first guy nods helpfully.
To which Yeah, something about, like, the half-breed has the trident. Because then Dolph Lundgren's line is, then that half-breed is your king. Like, he was definitely not listening to Mara, but these two dudes, whoever they are...
random motherfuckers.
Whoever they are, man, all right, these guys, if they say it, they're trustworthy. I believe them. Tim's a good guy.
And you know what? For all the explaining they do and the heavy sort of, like, reminding us of stuff they already established... Not in the same obnoxious way that The Hobbit does it, the third Hobbit. Although there's a scene that's a little like that, but mostly it's fine. It's really not as bad at all. For all of that, like, fucking Orm spends the whole movie going, you killed my mom and ruined my life, but also I hate my mom because she bore you, so fuck you both, really. But then his mom shows up, and then that makes him stop fighting.
No, I don't feel like he was saying he hates his mom. It was more like...
Several times he said, like fuck that bitch.
That is not what happened, no. That is definitely not what he said.
Drop.
He was talking, you're thinking of a scene where he's talking to Mara, and Mara throws that shit in his face like, hey, this is not what your mom taught us. You're being a dickhead. Remember when she said, don't be dickheads? Remember? And he was like, you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you, Dad said different, and I'm with Dad now. Dad was cool.
I feel like there were a couple more establishing scenes of that, but whatever. Like, I just didn't feel... I didn't feel like missing his mom was a strong motivation. Just the same way as I didn't feel like he was as connected to Willem Dafoe's character to have spared him from utter murderation, which he's been doing through the rest of this film willy-nilly. I understand why they did it. They paid it off at the end. Don't get me wrong. But, like, at the time, I was a little, how convenient. But that kind of folds back into what we were saying earlier. It is like a parable of the gods. And in the same way, sometimes those parables don't exactly have the best pacing. And, there's weird exposition dumps and sometimes stuff lifted from other stories.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
I couldn't ever be too mad at it.
Because there's so much that's good in this movie.
Because the worst thing it did, because being stupid, the movie established early that this is going to be kind of dumb. The worst thing it did is draw me out of the movie. Which is the worst thing most movies can do. The last 15 minutes of that movie, I was not invested. And that sucks, because they were cool fight scenes.
Yeah,
I was just like, I can't take you seriously anymore. You hit me too many times in a row. You broke your own spell.
Which, it sucks, because that last fight scene is fucking killer.
It is a killer fight scene.
It's a killer fight scene. There's sharks eating dudes, and a kraken, and crab guys fighting non-crab guys, and, like, fish men battle, like, flying underwater mecha, and then guys on seahorses with fucking spears. It's awesome.
That part I was still okay during, literally the last fight scene.
Oh, the one between Orm and Aquaman?
Yeah.
Side note, guys, they put Aquaman in the orange and green. They put him in an Aquaman outfit, and I am of two minds on that particular score.
I am too. I wonder if they're the same ones. Please, you go first.
The first mind, classy, gentlemen, classy to rep the colors, to fucking turn into the skid, to be Aquaman. To not be afraid to be Aquaman in his orange t-shirt and green gloves and green pants. Just really those regular-ass things made of, like, metal scale mail, sort of. But really not so much scale mail as it's, like, rigged. It's, like, bumped.
They look like fish scales.
Yeah, they look like fish scales, sort of. It's a really cool Aquaman outfit, and it's an Aquaman outfit, and kudos to you for fucking being willing to do that. But it does still look stupid. It's still an Aquaman outfit. And it doesn't make sense in the context of the movie.
Yeah, that's my problem, because Aquaman basically goes and he does his big task and he gets the trident and everything is right with the world, and then he's on his way out and he goes, wait, I could put on this, like, thousands-year-old dead guy's pants.
Except for that's not what happens. Like, he's, like, summoning the energy of the trident of I win now. Because he gets it, right? And then, like, they cut away from what must be a Sailor Moon-like transformation sequence when he gets the Aquaman armor. The reason it doesn't make sense in the context of the movie is that the ancient king who wielded the trident originally, who he's taking the power from, his armor's gold.
I mean, like in certain lights, so was Jason's.
No! His armor is it's the same color as the trident. It's bright gold. Throughout the whole movie, they do that to reference old Atlantis, which is bright gold. And, like, why is Arthur's orange and green? Orange, maybe I could get.
He had the green on there, too. It was muted, maybe, was the thing. I don't know if it was just because it was in flashbacks and then thousands of years old.
I did not see the green.
I remember it looking very similar because I saw it at the time and I was like, oh, that's a cool way to reference the armor early in the film.
But then he puts it on, like, there must have been a Sailor Moon-esque transformation sequence.
I would hope that.
I am robbed. I feel robbed that we didn't see that. And I'm shitting on it a little bit because at the end of the day, Aquaman's outfit looks a little dumb. But whatever, I don't care because it's Aquaman's outfit. Even if it looks stupid, this is actually a takeaway for all you other superhero movies. I don't care how stupid the outfit looks, put them in the outfit.
I mean, you can modernize it. It doesn't have to be like...
Yeah, you can modernize it if you want, but you can't not do it. You have to put them in the outfit if you're making a superhero thing. You can do what Daredevil Season 1 did and not put them in the outfit till the very end and put him in another outfit that is like more normal looking for the whole show. That's fine. But at some point, I want to see them in the superhero outfit if you're making a superhero thing.
Yeah, like Luke Cage, where briefly in flashback.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Yeah.
Like, he did the flashback of the original outfit where he looked in the mirror and he was wearing the Power Man suit and he goes, I look stupid. And then he moved on. That's fine. But you can't not do it, Iron Fist. You can't not do it.
I like to think he put on the dead guy's clothes. Because they didn't crumble with the rest of him that I recall. I think the dead guy crumbled, but his armor was like still there. I think he was just like, no, I gotta put this on.
Oh, his armor was specifically still there. Yeah, it fell over to the side.
Yeah.
You like to think there was like just a weird, awkward scene of him hopping into this dude's pants while the Kraken watches.
He's like going, and then the Kraken thing is like,
wait, no, you gotta put on the thing.
Put it on. I'm sorry, put on the armor. That's part of it. No. Do it.
And then the Kraken lays one Kraken tentacle in front of the door. Put it on.
Put on the fucking armor, Arthur. It puts the armor on its skin or else it gets tentacles again.
Either one of those is great.
Arthur, would you fuck me?
Hey.
I'd fuck me.
Hey, now, look, that's not fair because there's a very distinct, like, would you fuck me energy to the Kraken.
It really is.
There's a very distinct, oh, you can talk to me. The last one who talked to me was the Ancient King. What up? Okay, you can have a shot at the trident. Yeah, what's up, man? Like, she gets a lot more friendly. And then she shows up and she's a fucking Kraken with tentacles and giant claws and a monster mouth and she kills shit and it's awesome.
Yeah. Black Manta was also in this film.
He was cool. Look.
I tell you what, he was as cool as actual Boba Fett is.
No. I'm sorry. He had more lines and more cool action stunts.
Sure. I mean, like, longer. But at the end of the day, Homeboy did not do much.
No, he's a B-villain in this.
Yeah, he really is.
They're setting him up to be the main villain of the next movie.
No, I doubt that. I'm sure he'll come back, but I doubt he's going to be the main villain.
Or being, like, it would be really cool if they actually had, like, a recurring villain, like a secondary recurring villain.
Maybe they'll set up and do the... whatever version of the Legion of Doom they want to call it. There's like 9 different names for it.
Well, yeah, because they set that up at the end of one of the Justice League or some shit like that.
I don't know if those count anymore.
Well, I mean, they're probably just going to recast the actors, homie. Hey, fun fact I learned. Did you know the DCEU isn't a real thing? Nobody calls it that at DC. That's not what they call it.
What do they call it?
Nothing. There is no term for their extended universe.
Well, they just, like, go, our movies?
Yes.
Okay.
DCEU was coined by a journalist as a joke, and then it just stuck. Like, it was coined specifically to mock how they were trying to ape the MCU, and then it just stuck. DC does not like that people call it the DCEU.
Well, I think this installment, this DCEU film, and this installment of the DCEU franchise is a decent installment and should be considered part of the DCEU pantheon with other DCEU movies.
Like Wonder Woman or Justice League.
DCEU.
That's a fun fact I found out.
That is an interesting fact.
You just gonna wait out the last few seconds? Really? We're just gonna...
I don't have much more to say. I'm gonna come back around here. You guys have been listening to this podcast. I did enjoy this movie. This movie fought me on that front.
I love this movie, and I've been giving a little guff, but, like, all of this stuff that I'm not talking about that he mentioned at the beginning, and, like, there's so much that's really, really good and really fun and really visually fun.
Yeah.
If anything that we've mentioned sounds worth watching and you're not put off by the complaints that we've had too much, and even if you are, I'd say maybe give it a shot.
Man, if I know what I know now, I still would have gone to this movie to watch it for Patrick Wilson. Period.
I would have been there for Jason Momoa even if the movie was actually bad, and it's definitely not. All right, well, I think that about wraps us up. Did you want to continue on, or will that be a story for another adventure?
I think we'll catch them in the next episode.
All right. Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it, let's get high.